Okay, we're going to be converting our project that's already made, somewhat anyway. We're going to be converting it to a different engine version. It's going to be a version of Unreal Engine Source, and we're going to go ahead and get that going. In the last videos, we both downloaded and then we installed Unreal Engine Source, and you will either be to the screen that pops up, what do you want to call it? The little splash screen that pops up when you start the engine, or you'll just be at where your engine has been downloaded and installed, and that's where I'm at right now. So if you look over here under Depot, that's just the name I gave for the folder. I was working on a tutorial myself on doing this. So anyway, to get the engine launched, just go into Engine, Binaries, Win64, and then scroll down until you get to the UE4 editor.execute. Now you can make shortcuts, you can do all sorts of stuff, but I wanted to show you the whole process so you could see it all the way. So just double click on this, and that will launch the Unreal Engine Source. And we're going to take our other project, which was made in 420, and we're going to regular standard Unreal Engine, and we're going to convert it to a source version. So the easiest way to find it is just to come over here and type tutorial 1 and follow your project. I know I had mine in the Start 22 because this is the series that I'm in. Yours could be something different. So find your project, click on it, and go to open. Okay, so this is very important. Basically, it's saying, do you want to open the project and convert it within itself, which is destructive, or do you want to make a copy so it's safe? You want to make a copy. So we're going to open a copy. And so that's going to put right next to your, if it doesn't ask us here, it's going to put right next to our project file. It's the game you've been working on. That's where it's going to be. It's going to put Unreal Engine Source version of your project right there. Now there's other ways you can convert. You can convert it from the file structure, but I found that this way is the least error prone. That being said, this whole thing is probably the most error-prone process there is. I've been loathing making this video because it just sucks. There's no easy way to do it. And we're going to make mistakes. It's just going to happen. So if you look over here, I have this dedicated, get this out of the way. I have a guide over here, dedicated server guide. It's going to be helping us. And it jumps around in the orders a little bit differently than I'm doing it. But you guys can use this. I'm going to put this in the link. That way you have it to refer to. So for whatever reason you don't like the way I'm doing things, you can look at that, or you can kind of mix both. There's a couple right ways to do this, and there's like a million wrong ways. And hopefully something starts up. That would be nice. So I guess that was the conversion process that we just saw, and I'm hoping my game starts up. Now, don't be confused. The game's not going to be here. This is going to be the engine's location. So we're going to be jumping between where the engine is at and where the game is located, and that's wherever you've played your game at. All right. So we'll just see what happens when this pops up, and I hope it's all there. There we go. So I'm going to try and press play and see what happens. Okay, he's walking around. Gets a gun. Sorry, a rifle. Looks over here. Cool. It looks like our project. Okay, cool. So the engine appears to be, yeah, like it's converted. So there's a few things I know we need to do, and I don't want to forget them to get it ready to go to source. So one of the first things you want to do is, I don't remember exactly where you have to put this. Let me just put this in the content. Just do right click, and you can put this wherever. right click, new C++ class. Don't worry, we're not going to be coding. We just got to have it. And then you can just do empty class. It's going to ask you. And go next. And give it something like mark empty class, whatever. And then create class. And that'll help it. Well, it's a necessary thing. It has to it makes your project a C++ project. So not only does it have to be an Unreal Engine source project, it has to be an Unreal Engine C++ project, and that also has to work in conjunction with your Visual Studio. So that's what's going on there. While we're waiting, I'm going to drink out of my giant jug of water. And C++ code always takes longer to compile. Your first class will always take a little bit. But my guess is we're going to be back in and out of this project like a million times before we get it right. It seems that you can do the steps just right, and inevitably, it's like it has a mind of its own. It doesn't want to, something doesn't want to compile, something doesn't want to work. It's just how it is. So if we get this on the first try, it'll be a miracle. And that dedicated server guide will help you out. It really will. And he does things in a different order. So if what I'm doing isn't working, maybe your setup's different and it works better for you. Okay, so after we did the class, the new C++ class, this thing popped up, and it took 10 minutes to parse through all the files, and it's down here, guys. You need to let that stuff filter through, let it do its thing, and then your empty class will pop up here. I'm sure for right now we can probably minimize or even close this, and we should be good. I'm going to go ahead and just X out so I don't forget to close out, and hopefully that doesn't break anything. So yeah, let's just do that. Let's close out of there. Okay, and that's once again, there's our guide. So while we're in here, and let's just go ahead and make a new folder and call it maps. Okay, go to your third person BP, go to this map. Let's copy this. Let's see, I don't know if I can do that. I might have to move it. Okay, I didn't want all that registry map data with it. See, this is where things can get messy. It doesn't take much to mess it up. So let me see, third person BP, blueprints. I'm just curious what it took with it, if it actually copied it or what. Okay, that might work. Let's go ahead and do file, new level. And we just want it to be an empty level. Save selected. And we got to have a few, they can be named whatever you want, but we need a few really, really basic stuff. So let's make this map transition map. So we made a new level. We want to save current. Is that right? Okay, yeah, new map pops up. So just call it, let's see, you want to make this very simple. So entry map. You got to make sure you remember the exact how you spelt that, lowercase and all that. You got to remember that. So save that. Okay, and I don't know where it's saved. Hang on, we'll just have to go back through and see where that went. Okay, it went up into here. Just drag it into maps. Move here. Maps. So we got our entry map. And then we want to do, save all. And let's try and build it. We probably are going to get an error, and it talks about that in the documentation. So let's see what happens. It may or may not work. I don't see what that is. Oh, it's actually doing it. Okay, well, there should still be something that pops up over here I'm not seeing. Oh, it did. Okay. You may get an error. There's some documentation on it when you go to build lighting, and we might have to do it. But if you scroll down through this stuff, it'll have a swarm error. Kicking off swarm navigation failed to kick off. Just go back into Visual Studio, drop down all those project files, and then build this Unreal Light Mass. We still might do that, but I just wanted to let you know that's where you may encounter an issue if that swarm doesn't kick off. And that's just your light build stuff that gets that going. So, okay, we got our entry map. Let's do, we got that, that's good. Let's do another map. See, file, new level, just an empty level, and let's save current. And what did we name the last one? We named it entry map. Let's make this one transition map, or just keep it simple, tran map. Okay, and probably put it up here. Let me make this full screen. Yep, put it right there. Let's move it down into maps. Okay, let's try and build it. Okay, lighting built complete. Save all. Okay, so far so good, but don't get cocky. This whole thing's gonna come crashing apart. It always does. So we got our maps. Let's go to our, let's see, where should we put this? In our, we could make third person blueprints where we have stuff in our imports. Believe it or not, we have a widgets folder already made. So let's go ahead and do our widget that we're going to do. And this widget's going to be, so basically we can type in IP addresses and that we can connect our computers. That's all this is. It's a placeholder. We're not. It's going to be real rough. You'll see. So let's see, widget blueprint. We'll just call it IP widget. Okay, save all, save selected. You can go into your IP widget. All right, and what do we need? So, well, we're gonna need a button. Just put it in there. And we're going to need a text box. Not text, but text box. What's the difference? Well, text box, you can actually enter information. It takes user input. Okay, that's what a text box is. So put that in there. Make it somewhat big. And then, like I said, we don't really care a whole lot about what it looks like. But I think there should be something that controls the size of the font. Make it like, I don't know, 20, and hint text. See if I can. No, that's not it. Oh well, we'll find out. We'll find out real quick if it's too big. So compile and save that. Save all, and that'll work for right now. Let's go into your graph. I'm going to do the same thing on my notes over here. Actually, go back over here. Get your button, select it. And then there's going to be an event right here. So this event's going to fire off whenever you click the button. And then boom, that's what that does. So you click the button, whatever comes after this is going to be what happens. So what happens after this? Well, we want to get our editable text box. We want to get it. And then we want to get text. get text box. And so what this function's doing is it's getting whatever you had typed into there, and it's just pulling it out so we can reference it and use it for other things. So what do we want to do? We want to do a few things. We want to open a level, okay, and a level could also be. Oh, you need to change this to, I think it's string. So type in to string, and it's right down here, to string. So it takes text and it puts it into a string, okay? So the stuff you types in and it puts it into an array of characters that this thing understands. And then it converts it again to a name, which is another variable type. It's kind of strange, and I'll go into more detail on that later on. I just want to get this stuff working. We also need, let's see, from string, when we convert over here, let's do a print string. Okay, so that way we can make sure or see what we're sending off. Okay, so open level. We're going to start a session and do all that fancy stuff later on. For right now, we just want to go ahead and open a level, which is going to be our IP address that we put in. Okay, so we've made our widget, but we got to call it. How do we call it? Well, go to your maps that you just made. Go to your entry map. Okay, you're already here. Go to blueprints, open level blueprint. And since this is going to be your entry map, it's going to be the very first map that starts the game. And so when anybody comes to the map, this node is going to fire off the event begin play. So that's where we're going to create our widget. So I'm going to bring that up in my notes. Okay, so we want to create a widget. Okay, and that just calls it. We actually created it, and we called it our IP widget. Great. What do we want to do from there? Well, we want to make sure that it's the owning player. So we're going to get our player controller. Okay, and then 0 is, remember, that's always the person that's controlling that computer. Okay, and since we have not gone onto a server yet or done anything, that's going to be you. Then we need to. We could make if we want to make this pretty, we could promote this to a variable and make it a reference. So we could say IP widget ref. Okay. Bring that over there, and then we want to add it to the viewport. Okay, let's get that reference out. If for whatever reason, that I don't know why, but for whatever reason, if this thing is already valid, we don't want to create it again. In fact, we want to have the IP widget, we want that destroyed or remove from parent. Okay, so if it's valid, remove from the parent and make a new one. If it's not valid, just freaking make one. That's all it does. It's a safety check. It's no big deal. It would probably work just fine without it, but it's just so you don't get weird stacked up widgets and stuff. And I've explained this before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Compile, save. So when this level loads, this code will fire, and the IP widget, since we've selected it here, should show up. Now, what won't show up is your mouse, and you need that. So you need to go off your player controller, set visibility. No, not that. How about show mouse cursor, and you want to set. Go ahead and set it to true. Okay, and we can't really test this out very easily, but we can do this. Check our font. So 127.0.0.1, and press here. And that will come up, and we need to check for any errors. No errors, that's good. I'm sorry, guys. I got like a cough or something. I don't know what's going on. And it like just hit me too. I was fine until I started doing all these videos. I don't know what's going on. So, okay. So I'm going to look at my board. In fact, what might be good also is to run down this dedicated server guide. And we're going to be doing all this stuff, but I wanted to get everything done within the game that we had to do itself. See, you can tell he's doing something similar, but I wanted to do it based off IP address. Okay, this is very important. So we made all these maps, but we didn't really say, okay, when are they gonna go? Okay, so go to your project settings. So settings, project settings, and this will pop up, and then just type in maps. Not whatever that was. Okay, and then this default stuff will pop up. So we have, let me see. Let's rename this map so it's not so confusing. So what did I put it? I'm gonna look and see what I put in my other thing here. Okay, I called it test level. So we're gonna stick to the naming convention. Okay. So lowercase test and then uppercase L for level. Dude, you got to remember these. So entry map, test level, and tran map. And you know what? To make it even easier, I should just call it map. So I'm not bumping back and forth. Test map. Entry map, test map, tran map. Okay, if you're going to make a mistake, it's going to be right here. Or it's where I'm going to make it. So back to your project settings. So editor startup, going to be your entry. So find that. What in the world? Entry map. Okay. Game default map. We'll just make it our entry map. We might change that later on because that's just the black map, but whatever. Transition map, that'll be our tran map. And the servers map that's going to come up, we want that to be the test level, or the, what do we call it? Yeah, see, this is where it can go wrong. Test map, entry map, test map, tran map. Entry map, test map, tran map. Entry map, test map, tran map. Good. And so how it'll work is anytime your editor begins, it'll come to the entry map. The game's default map's the entry map. Transition map, that's between two levels are loading. It needs to have something, so we just gave it a blank nothing. And then the default map is our test map, and so our test map should be not that, is this right here. And I hope when I go to blueprints, open level blueprint, it's blank. Good, because we put that code in our entry map, which is what starts up for the client. The server is going to always have this map. And since this is our server, he doesn't need a player. So go ahead and delete him. All right. Remember, your dedicated server doesn't need a player, so we can get rid of him. You might want to put in some player starts, though. So you can throw in some of those. Let's see. Player start. Just throw it in there. Alt drag makes it a duplicate. So at least you got a couple in there. Make sure they're not on top of each other. Okay. So we got a few player starts. Okay. Back into, go to the entry map. This is where the code should be. So that's your widget, not your code that you need to check. Blueprints, open level blueprint. Okay. Event begin, play, your widget will fire. And then when your widget fires, it brings up this option where you can put in your text, and then you can launch your level, and it'll go to the test level because the server is going to be at the IP address that you enter. Does that make sense? I just want to get this working, and then when it's working, then I'll slow down. Okay. So we got that. Now, when this thing cooks, it needs to know the list of maps to include. So you got to include all these maps. So, and this is easy to mess up. So let's go / it's always game. Regardless of the name of your game, it's always game. Our folder was maps, and then it's going to be the name of the map. So ENTRY map was one of them. So game maps entry map. Make sure you follow your folders, and make sure you put the same, like right under game. That's where you put your maps folder. Or right under your content folder, actually. So right where I put mine, just follow the same thing. Okay, so we got entry map, tran map, and then test map. Okay, check these a million times. It's worth it. I'm going to do it. Game, maps, entry map, game, maps, tran map, game, maps, test map. Okay? Should be good. Save all. Okay, so we've made our maps. We set them in here. We set them in there. Now let's kind of look over here and see what we're missing. It's a great guide for the most part. So we put that in there. Okay. He makes it look like it's ready to cook, but we still got to do a few things. So we'll come back into this. So you know where it's at. Just right click, show and explore. Okay. And then come right over here. Okay, and exit out of Visual Studio, exit out of your stuff. Okay, so there's a few things we need to do in here. A lot of things, and a lot of very dangerous things. So I'm trying to find that there's a specific spot where he says, right after he, okay, same dedicated server, brand new project, great. There should be a generate Visual Studio. Okay, generate Visual Studio project files. That should be done, but we're going to do it anyway. Generate Visual Studio project files. Click your log if you want to see any errors, because we're going to come into some. Okay. So far, so good. It says to go into our source folder. That's what we're going to do. Okay. And you're like, oh no, we're missing a file. Calm down. It's all right. Just copy this file. Paste it right here. Okay. And it says copy, and you need to name it exactly what we're going to name it. So F2. And it's going to be, see, so it'll be the name of your thing, and it's just going to be server target. So let's make sure we get that. It says tutorial 1 editor target. We're just going to take out editor and change it to server. Not servert, server. Okay. So, and this is where it's really easy to mess up. So I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to just double check everything. Test server target. His thing is test. Mine's tutorial 1. So tutorial 1 server.target.cs. Great. Click on this, right click, go to edit. Take everything in here, go Control A, and delete it. Okay, now he's got a bunch of stuff in here, and depending on the engine version, you had to put something in here. This is for your build instructions for your server. So you can use the 418. So far that's worked on the newer builds because there is no 420. I don't see any of that. So just take all this, make sure you got it all, copy, and then paste it in here. Now, here's the real nasty part. So everywhere you see, they give you little hints. And they give you these double lines. These are comment lines. And that lets you know you need to make a change here. Change this, whatever, as it's shown. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your project's name wherever it says shooter game. Okay, so just find shooter game. And make sure you leave server target in there. Tutorial 1. Okay. It's the name of my project. I don't know what yours is. So shooter game, Control V, tutorial 1. And then here, shooter game, Control V, tutorial 1. So tutorial 1 server target, tutorial 1 server target, and tutorial 1. That should be right. File, save, exit out of there. Okay, let's, so far so good. See, this is at what point he switches his engine versions. I had issues when I did it that way. Okay, let's try and actually go build a server. Let's see what craziness happens. So we can back out of here. And then let's, I feel like I'm missing a step. Hey guys, Mark from the future here. Real quick, after you just got done setting these server targets, the server target, make sure you just go real quick and go into your project and just generate the Visual Studio project files. Go ahead and click that. I know we already did it. We got to do it again. It's a little thing. If you miss this step and you're about to compile everything, it won't come out right, and it's fine if you skip this step, but you'll have to come back and do it and recompile. But I just wanted to let you know before you got that much further. Anyway, so yeah, right after you set those targets, right click and generate Visual Studio project files. Anyway, back to it. So he built his game before he did the server. We're going to do our server before we build the game and see how that works. So launch your project. So very similar to our other thing, only now we're in our project. That's very important. And I guess maybe I wasn't is obvious enough. This is the Visual Studio solution that's in our project, not the engine. Okay, this is the the actual Visual Studio of our project. We haven't seen this yet, I don't believe. So make sure you're in that. Go to Development Editor. So do the drop down. Development Editor. Good. I'm going to read how he does it, make sure we're good. In the drop down, Development Editor, and go to this for the right click and build. And notice he does it on the project name. So tutorial 1, right click, build. And then this could take a long time. I don't know. And if it goes quick, I won't cut it, but I probably will. So if it flashes forward real quick, that's what's going on. Okay, the build succeeded, and it took whatever time it said here. See, it felt like a lot longer than that. So let's do the next part. Let's go ahead and drop it down, and we're going to go to Development Server. Development Server. Okay, and then we are going to right-click and build. And we right-clicked on our actual project name. So I'm going to sit back and see how long this one takes. Okay, so everything compiled and succeeded. There were no problems, no issues. However, you saw Mark from the future had to inject and let you know to recompile those Visual Studio project files. That was because I did this, and after you compile the server, even if it says it's okay, you need to check. So you go over to where your project is and go into binaries, Win64, and these will have your server files, and you'll know if you've done it right based off whether or not these say server or not. The first time I did it, I didn't generate those project files for the second time, and these didn't come up as server. They just said like it was something just like tutorial 1 and then execute. So you need to make sure you have files in here, some of which say server. That's how you know you've successfully done everything right. And if you don't, and if you don't have any errors at all here. See, it doesn't show up, it doesn't know. Now if you're getting errors and you've messed up somewhere earlier, probably where you put those target files and how you named them, something like that. That's usually what jams people up. So don't forget about that. If you get through here and those binaries, nothing says server, just generate your Visual Studio project files again and recompile. I know it takes a long time, but that's what I had to do. And I just came back in here and I right clicked and I skipped the development editor part. I just went ahead and did the development server again, and it was fine, no big deal. But if you miss it, you'll pull your hair out trying to figure out what the heck happened. Okay, so what now? Let's actually go into our project, and we're going to cook it, get it ready for testing, so we can try first on one computer and then on multiple computers, seeing if we can get everything to work out, because we really haven't tested that code that we threw down real quick to connect to different IPs and stuff. So we don't even know if that's functional whatsoever. So we'll let this thing fire up. There's more chances to screw up, so we'll see where it goes from there. So okay, come on, here we go. Don't restore. So we will have to change the maps. That'll be annoying if it's like that. But anyway, we won't do that right now. So let's try and cook it and see what happens. So we're going to package our project. So file, package project, go to Windows and go to Windows 64-bit. Okay, and what it's asking is, where do you want the game to go? Where do you want the finished game to go? You don't want it necessarily with your project. So what we can do is separate this out. We're at the root of Big Boy here, and we can just right click. We can make a folder, just say finished project. Let's see if that is that. Okay, finished project, and it'll be in here. So select the folder, and it's going to go. Click your output log, and I think this one's okay. Yeah, that's an error that pops up. That's because I don't have any Apple computer mobile device provisioning crap. But you want to pay attention if there's any other errors and or warnings. Those are important things to see what's going on. Sometimes it's nothing, but if you're getting an error which is red, then you definitely got some stuff going on. But you got to read it to investigate to see what might be causing the problem. If it's your coding, if you forgot something, maybe you named your map weird and it's not catching it. You can get something in here that says like did not find map named blah 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 blah, and it'll only come up as a warning. So you need to check on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this run. This doesn't take too terrible long, but it's definitely long enough. We don't want to sit through it, so I'm going to probably fast forward. Okay, it didn't take too long, and it completed. It said the build was successful. Now we get to test out and see how things are going. So you can pin that up there if you want. If you want to read through stuff, go back to your entry map. So let's go to that file location where we told it to go. I'm going to go ahead and just open up a new folder. All right, and go to, let me see, finished project. Okay, and it gives it the default name, Windows No Editor. So let's change that. I don't know, call it shooting. Okay, and what you probably want to do is make a copy of that, because we're going to be manipulating some files and we could very easily mess that up. So we got shooting and we got shooting copy. Okay, so what now? Since we want to run the server, and we're going to probably want to let other computers be the server and things like that, let's go ahead and open up Shooter. And you won't launch the game from here. You will launch it from, I believe it's tutorials, binaries, Win64, and that's going to be the file where you actually run it from. So this is the game we just cooked. We just made. Go back to your project over here, okay? And go into, now this is, don't confuse these. Project, this is cooked. So go into your project, go into binaries, Win64, and to make this real simple, you can just drag all this, right click, copy, paste, and do not replace. Okay, just skip. Okay, and then you have your server, and you have your actual project right here. So what you're going to do, since this is your executable for your project and this is your server, you're going to want to have some log, some way, because if you just run this server from right here, it's just going to flash up and you're not going to know what's going on. So you want to log. So just get on the server, right click, and there should be a, let's see. Come on, where are you? Looking for create shortcut, and here it is right here. Just go ahead and right click that and click properties, and then at the end of your target line over here, just arrow over, don't delete it, space, and type in -log for log. So you get your target, you got log, apply, okay. And then when you, well, let's just fire it up. You'll get a log of what's going on. And I hope this doesn't shut down my camera. We'll see. So far, so good. Okay, so your server's running. And then let's try and run an instance. Let's see what happens. Okay, our thing pops up here, 127.0.0.1, which is your local loop, and we're in. Wow, that actually worked. I'm surprised. I bet you could see it on my face. Okay, so the server's working, and it's allowing me into the game. Now, the real secret is going to be, can I get another computer to join? So I'm going to go ahead and, oh yeah, if you want to get out of here, hit the tilde key, which is the key right before the 1, and it's going to open up your command prompt, and just type quit, and that'll get us out of there. And it's freaking out because we don't have sessions or anything like that. It's okay. We'll make all those problems go away. But get shooting here. Let's see. Finish project. Shooting. And depending, you could make your copy. You could send that off to another computer because it's going to be lightweight. And it's not going to be the server. So let's just do that. I'm going to send my copy off to another computer. So I'm going to pause this video, fire up the other computer, put shooting on it, and I'll launch that and have him be a client. And we can have a computer host and play as well. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll be right back with you. Okay, guys, so I was able to move that shooting copy over to another computer, and I have it fired up and running. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and launch my server. So double click on that shortcut we made, and let's get it going. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have another computer connect to this server, which is what this is. That's it, man. That's the real deal. But we need to know the IP address, and what we're going to do is we're going to just do a little local stuff for right now. But this will work over the internet. So just open up a command prompt, CMD. That'll give you your command prompt, and then just type in ipconfig. Okay. And then you want to get down, not into this Ethernet, just come down here to this IPv4 address, and that's going to be get your local address right there. Okay, so I got 192.168.2.2, 192.168.2.2, and that's going to be the address that I put into the other computer. So I know you're on the small screen, but the so on the other computer, what I'm referring to when I say that, here, let me show you. I got another guy right here. Okay. And I know you're not going to be able to see him very well, but I'm just letting you know it really is there and stuff. So right here, I'm just typing in 192.168. Was it 2.2? Let me double check that real quick. Let me bring up my command prompt. 192, yeah. And then I just, wrong mouse. Click the button, and then it goes through. So he's in. Let me throw this back up here so you can see me talking to you. Great. Okay, so that guy's in. Now, we want to give him somebody to play with. So I'm going to go ahead and start another client on the computer that's running the server. And it can just use this local, because this 127.0.0.1, that's just your local feedback. So whenever you want to see what's on your computer, use that. And that's what that does. So they're both going to be pointing to the same IP address. I just choose to do it this way. So he goes in, and now he's there, and look, he's got a buddy. And show that he's there too. Let me get this. Now he's moving. So we have our first kind of multiplayer, because I'm running two keyboards. But yeah, it's all working. Everything's good. Yeah, so I mean, there's going to be tons of warnings and errors and stuff and popping up with the server and all that, but it's definitely working. Everybody's connected. We switched to engine versions. I mean, we're flying high right now, man. That was pretty intense, but we got it. So do me a favor, go ahead and stop by the Facebook page and say hi, and leave a comment or whatever. And if you get stuck on this or have any questions, let me know. I'm sure there will be. I mean, there's going to be, other than that one little hiccup of having to recompile our C++ or our Visual Studio files, it wasn't too bad. So yeah, let me know where you're at. If you have problems, just watch your spelling on a lot of those names of maps and stuff like that. But anyway, until next time, I'll see you on the next one.